And thank you for being here. It's fantastic to see so many of you here. So we're going to do a little trick to start off with, just to make sure you can connect with each other. So if you get the LinkedIn app out, everyone get your LinkedIn app out. If you don't have the LinkedIn app, download it and log on. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So download it, log on, and then you want to go to these two little people down the bottom, and then you go find nearby, and find nearby will make sure you can connect with every single other person in this room at the same time. So it's the two little people down the bottom.
Turn it on.
Yeah, you got it? Yeah, you got people in yours already? You see how it fills up? Two little people, then find nearby. And then we can make sure we all connect with each other, because the least you should be doing is connecting with every single person in this room who's interested in this topic and all go to this university. Is anyone having any problems with this? Has everyone got it?
Yes, here.
Do you have any problem?
No, I have seen it here. Right?
Oh, you got it? Yeah. No problem at all. You got it?
Okay.
You haven't done it yet, have you? You're just trying to pretend. Anybody else have any problem with that? And then you should make a note of every single person and then connect with everybody else here. And then at least you know other people in this room. And you can find all their LinkedIn profiles. Okay, thanks very much for that. So this is basically how you can use LinkedIn for your career and whatever you want to be. Make sure that you actually start using it now, because it's these kind of relationships, that's why I want you to do that now, that you'll actually build on and build on and build on as you go through your career. But the best place to start building relationships is actually here now. It's not kind of when you need a job tomorrow. It's like, or when you basically want to get clients or investors. It's actually doing it now. So put the little bit of time in now and it'll pay off in the future. It really, really will. And you can actually start talking to alumni for James Cook, for example, which would be really, really good. So I do a lot of this at NUS, and they obviously have massive alumni, and they really pays off in terms of they can reach out to the alumni because they've identified themselves on LinkedIn as being a current graduate or a current student. So think about how you can do that. So this is basically about how you can become a LinkedIn rock star and how you can actually achieve whatever you want to achieve on LinkedIn. Because I believe that everyone has a metaphorical mohawk. Even this guy here has a metaphorical mohawk. Doesn't actually look like that, but he has it within him. Everyone has it. You have it, you have it, you have it. You just need to find out what it is. Because your mohawk is basically your key to your LinkedIn. It's your call to action. It's your elevator pitch. So what is that? Have a think about what your mohawk is and use that to distinguish yourself on LinkedIn. Why do I have a mohawk? Everyone asks me this, so I might as well get this over with. The reason I have a mohawk is 10 years ago when I came to this sunny island, I looked like this. Indistinguishable between every other Angmo that comes to Singapore. And so I just thought I need to stand out a bit, so I started growing a little mohawk. And then people said, oh, you got a mohawk. I thought, well, that's interesting. People actually have a difference here where they noticed this, and then I started growing it even more and colouring it in. It was great fun. And then people start taking pictures of it, and I get recognised in Shanghai and in Hong Kong and in Australia and London and Zurich, just because I have a mohawk. But it allows me then to have a conversation. So it breaks the ice. What do you do? That's an interesting thing. Normally they say I'm a rock star. I wish I was a rock star. That's why I dress like this. Always wanted to be one, failed as a musician, so I end up looking like this to try and talk to people about LinkedIn, about how you can actually be yourself on LinkedIn, and you can do that too. Obviously every single one of my books has it, and I will be giving away 13 books today for 13 fantastic questions, and the questions cannot be, can I have a book please, Chris? Okay, so think of some really, really cool questions along the way. It can be now, it can be at the end, middle, the end. But we're giving away 13 best-selling books. But as you can see from my books, the books stand out on the bookshelf because I have a mohawk. You don't go to Kino Kanua and see anybody else on the bookshelf with a mohawk. Steve Jobs never had a mohawk. Or any other book there. So that's why it stands out. It's a good way of actually talking about things like personal branding. But why LinkedIn? Well, when I came to Singapore 10 years ago, I didn't have a job. So I used my LinkedIn connections in London and said, well, who do you know in Singapore? And they reached out and those people said, yes, I'd love to meet Chris, that'd be fantastic. They don't know me, but they know the person who introduces me. Because LinkedIn's very much about that. It's who you know, not what you know. It's building your connections. That's why I want you to connect with each other here and start building your relationships now to pay off in the future. Because you never know when someone can help you do a favor or you can do a favor for someone else. It is, though, number one B2B social media platform in the world. It's only not available in 2 countries. Does anyone know what those 2 countries are? North Korea is one of them, yes. What's the other one?
China.
No, China's there with 50 million people. China's the 3rd biggest country in the world for LinkedIn. Who else? What's missing? It's a big gap.
Russia.
Russia, yes. Russia is the only other country in the world you can't get LinkedIn. You need VPN to get LinkedIn there. So everywhere else, as you can see, you can get LinkedIn. 40, 50 million people in China, 55 million people in India, a lot in Europe. I always love the fact there are 7 million people in Colombia who are on LinkedIn doing import, export. Okay, no one's been watching Narcos recently, have they? They're all entrepreneurs, never mind. So I do believe that LinkedIn's a bit like The Godfather. It's who you know, not what you know. It's doing people a favor without needing to say, you will have to do me a favor in return. And that's what LinkedIn's all about, connecting and engaging and asking people for favors without actually thinking I have to do something in return, and vice versa, doing favors for people, introducing people, engaging. And LinkedIn's very much a gamification platform, which basically means the more you do things on LinkedIn, the more you get rewarded. They boost your rankings, boost your search. So many of you are not posting on LinkedIn, as we'll talk about a bit later on. Many of you have got incomplete profiles. This, for LinkedIn, downgrades you. So if you just fill in your profiles, I'll show you today, actually that will increase your searchability. If you just engage, you just share. If you take pictures today and just say, you saw me do this, that will actually increase your searchability. LinkedIn will actually say, fantastic, thanks for engaging, and boost your rankings. Because then you'll be the 1%, not the 99% who don't. And you want to be the 1% to stand out on LinkedIn. And I like this quote, not obviously because I like James Blunt, because no one would admit to liking James Blunt in public, but I like the quote, because it's very much about LinkedIn. Welcome. I'm self-deprecating because I'm British. If I was American, I would tell you how great I was. And Americans do that. Americans are amazing at saying, I am fantastic, I am amazing. And that's when they're like 5 years old. They can sell you anything, anywhere. They get taught at school to pitch. I kid you not. You guys get taught to do engineering and science. They get taught to sell, which is why when it comes to LinkedIn, they sell, sell, sell. So we have to catch up, because British people are just as bad as Singaporeans when it comes to actually promoting themselves. They don't want to do it. It's all part of the team. No, I couldn't do it. It's a team effort. We're all doing it together. But you've got to promote yourself, because if you don't promote yourself, there will be some American that comes along and steals that job, or steals that opportunity, or steals that investment. So you basically have to out-American the Americans on LinkedIn, but in a business context. So if you Google yourself, your entire reputation comes up, and that's the point. People are going to be Googling you when you go for jobs. They're going to be Googling you when you go for investment. They're going to be Googling you when you go for clients. So your entire reputation is actually on LinkedIn, and on Google, and on Facebook, and on WeChat, everywhere else. So a bit like Gladiator, the evil emperor couldn't just kill Maximus. He had to actually besmirch his reputation. Because if he just killed him, reputation lives on. So you've got to really, really think hard about how you come across on social media, and avoid doing blogs about taxi drivers, as I'll talk about a bit later on. But if you Google me and put taxi drivers next to it, you'll see something. I'll talk about it a bit later on. Because you are in control of your LinkedIn. You're in control of your reputation on LinkedIn. So more than any other platform, you really are in control of who you connect with, what you say, and how you engage. So your number one tip is your personal brand, is your visual impression. So if I show you the Joker, you know what kind of visual impression it is. You know what kind of branding that is. You know what his mohawk is, the scars, and the witty one-liners, and the cool dress sense. So you want to think about how you have the impression of the Joker. Well, I like Karen here, because Karen's actually mohawk is that she's the GPS girl. She's on 2 billion devices going recalculating, recalculating, recalculating. But she doesn't make any money by doing that. She's also a keynote speaker, concert performer, coach. But she uses the fact she's the GPS girl to get in the door. If you see her at a big conference and there's 100 other speakers, you don't remember anybody else, just remember Karen, because she's the GPS girl. And she's fantastic. Sophia the robot, her mohawk is the fact she's a robot. So you have to have something that stands out. Now your background picture is phenomenally important. Don't just have a picture of Singapore. Don't just have the blue. Have something that connects you and your personal brand. You on stage, you win an award, you doing something amazing. You look at something like the Ritz-Carlton in Shanghai, for example. Marketing. Or someone like Dahlia here, who's a local entrepreneur. Welcome. She's marketing herself by putting the branding up there immediately. It's free advertising on LinkedIn, completely free. Or Ryan here, who does BBC documentaries where he climbs mountains and then sells that to corporations who want to hear how he climbs mountains. So he puts a picture of him on top of a mountain on LinkedIn. And then he has a story to tell underneath. Think about what your background picture will be. Or Pippa here, who's got a product. So she put her product on LinkedIn to market it straight away. So it's simple stuff. Because you think, bang, the visuals are fantastic. And if you're going to basically name a brand Pink Tank, which I think is a fantastic name for a brand, you've got to have a pink tank on your background picture. Which is brilliant. Don't do things like this. Because as much as I might aspire to being George Clooney, I can't be because I'm not. So I can't use this photograph on my LinkedIn. Or this, what I call your classic Facebook photograph. Had a few too many drinks, you think dressing as a panda is a great idea for LinkedIn. Not a very good idea at all. Or this, which one's Melita? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. How do you talk to someone when you don't even know who you're talking to? And this guy couldn't decide which photograph to use, so he used all the photographs in his collection. Again, not a great idea, because he'd come across as very indecisive. Elizabeth here went the full Tinder look. Really not a good idea, Elizabeth, especially when you work for a little company called the Hyatt Hotel Group and you're in charge of human resources. Really not a great idea these days. And I don't know what was going through Philip's mind here. Did he not look at this and going, this is very strange, there's a giant me with a head missing next to a small me with exactly the same picture? Well, did none of his friends kind of say to him, Philip, just a very strange picture. And if you're going to be a keynote speaker, it's best to have a room full like this and not a room like that. Because that's not a great look for a keynote speaker. The one person on it is leaving. Really not a great idea. Definitely, definitely, definitely don't do this if you live in China. Very, very career limiting at the moment. Don't do that. And if you don't work for Marina Bay Sands or Singapore Tourism Board, why would you do this? Yet 1 million profiles in Singapore have these pictures. Pictures of Marina Bay Sands. So basically you're marketing integrated resorts. And of course, if you do work for MBS, you have no excuse. You have to put the most Instagram world as your background picture. In fact, if you work for MBS and you don't do that, what excuse do you have? Oh, I couldn't think of a picture to use. Which picture shall I use from the 10 million I could use? Not a great idea. Now your personal brand positioning statement is very important. It's how you introduce yourself. So if somebody says, what do you do? How do you describe yourself? Put it on LinkedIn. So you know the famous brands like Nike says, just do it. And Apple, think different. Mine is the only CEO with a mohawk, which normally makes people laugh, and then you basically start a conversation. All it is, describe yourself. So how do you describe you? Because everywhere you go on LinkedIn, your headline follows you. Every single place, when you share, when you comment, when you like, when you get tagged, when you come up in search, when you go on other people's profiles, you can see mine, you see what I do, but not everybody else, apart from this bloke called Bill Gates, who you may know what he does. You want to challenge people on LinkedIn. I like this, Mike Nacky here, the coolest guy in Nashville. Google it to see for yourself. So we did, and he is. But it's brilliant because he does SEO, so he's proving his SEO works by doing it. If you're hiring, tell people you're hiring. If you're looking for a job, say this. We often at Black Marketing do a search on looking for opportunities, keywords, because we know those people are actually looking for a job, as opposed to other people who may be but haven't put it on their LinkedIn profile. So if you are looking for a job, you are graduating, or looking for an internship, put it on your LinkedIn so you get found. Otherwise, how do employers like myself know? Looking for a job or an internship. Don't do things like this. Lonely and young girl. She's on that swing all by herself in Singapore. Don't do that, it's not Tinder. Albert felt the need to put human being down here, as if you do a search on LinkedIn for a human being. Not a great idea. And this is what I mean about Americans. See, Americans have no problems doing this. Demigods at Miracle Health. No problem promoting themselves. And he hasn't got a very good face for Miracle Health either. He really shouldn't be using that. Shelley Shara, wife of Stephen Shara. Why would you do that? Particularly as Stephen did not reciprocate. He has not got husband of Shelley Shara on his. And surely he should. Because Dale has. Dale's got spouse of owner at Picosa Mexican restaurant. So he has no status by himself. He's just going out with someone who owns a dodgy restaurant in Hong Kong. Lecturer at retired and enjoying time with the family. Does he look like he's enjoying time with the family? Not really. I think he'd rather be back at work. And if you're going to put an award down, it's best to put an award of the last 10 years. Putting an award down for 2010 is not a great idea. It's like one of those restaurants that won a Michelin star 10 years ago, but the chefs all left. And they haven't won an award since. You don't go back, do you? Now you do want to tell people where you are. A lot of people in Singapore travel. So when I travel, for example, I put down Sydney, Berlin, Munich, Zurich, for example. Ron does the same thing, Sacramento, San Diego, and what he's going to do, where he's going. Lets people know where he's going to be, because don't forget your headline follows you around everywhere. If you're in Singapore, he actually puts it in Singapore. And we actually taught Landy how to do this, and she took it to the next level. She merely uses initials now. You have to figure out what she means. So we think that says South Africa, Johannesburg, Cape Town, and we think that might be Kazakhstan, El Salvador, I don't know. And then she's already anticipated Brexit because she's got UK/EU. Two different places. Now you do want to complete your profile. It's part of gamification on LinkedIn. You put the summary and the experience sections down. The summary is the most important because it tells your story. Tell your story to people looking at it and make the first 3 lines compelling. The first 3 lines should be everything about this. It should be so interesting, people want to go, show more, see more at the end there. And they go, yeah, I want to know more about this person. So make the 3 lines pay off. Really, really think hard about how you describe yourself there. And then you fill it all in. Fill out the 2,000 characters. Because this section is read more than any other section on your LinkedIn profile. So make it pay off. And then put some creative into it. You know, Matthew here's doing the videos. We put all our videos onto LinkedIn so people can watch the videos on LinkedIn. You can do videos of yourself. I'm sure you've got videos, doing projects, doing speaking, leading, put them on LinkedIn so people get to know you personally. And then you can put the links into the experience section as well on LinkedIn, which should be copied from your company page on LinkedIn. So when you become an employee, you want to basically describe what the company does, as well as what you do at the company. And then you want to put the links in for, say, YouTube channels, websites, and Point Drive, which is on Sales Navigator, because that basically brings the whole thing to life. Because LinkedIn's actually quite a visual medium, but a lot of people put lots of words there. But it's actually videos key. So what else do you do? I also lecture at NUS, for example. I was there last week. So I put that on my LinkedIn because it's part of my personal branding. I also contribute to the Business Times. So again, put it on there, part of my personal branding. I volunteer, SMU. So again, part of my personal brand. So what do you do from a voluntary point of view? You can put that on your LinkedIn. What else do you do to add to your personal branding? Put your recommendations, your skills and awards, really key. It's not just you saying you do a great job, it's other people saying you do a great job too. And then get endorsed by people who know what they're doing in those skills. Has more power. Don't do things like this on your summary section. A lifelong passion for problem solving. Because that doesn't describe anybody, and it describes everybody. So you want to have something personal to you. This one's even worse. A business leader. It's ridiculous. Why would he put that down? Because it describes everyone here. It's not personal. Your summary section should be personal to you. It should be your story. Now this is a real summary section on LinkedIn. This is a love doctor on LinkedIn. Real, genuine profile. He does all this stuff. Affair, other person. How do you have an affair by yourself? I'm not sure. And then he basically does things like get your lover back, convince parents for love marriage. But obviously he got bored of just doing love. So then he started doing divorce, and then business problem and study problems. But my favorite service, the genuine profile, genuine service, my favorite service the Love Doctor offers is this one. Be free from enemy / second wife. The first wife business is too crowded, but after that second wife, enemy business. Now Peter here is out of work, so LinkedIn says Peter is celebrating a work anniversary at out of work. Not only that, they say congratulate Peter for being out of work for 4 years. Brilliant. Don't do that. And don't be endorsed for Excel, PowerPoint, and telling the time. It's not great. And if you're English, or sorry, you're Singaporean like me, you don't want to be endorsed for general awesomeness and awesomeness. Only Americans can be endorsed for those two things. And don't do this. Now Belle here, so proud of where she works now, she doesn't mention it on her headline, but she does mention the previous places she used to work at. So she used to work at Uber, Netflix, and Spotify. But she doesn't tell you where she works now. And the Googlers are the worst at this. If you put in ex-Google into LinkedIn, you get 47,000 results of people putting ex-Google, ex-Google. And the irony is, Adrian here works for LinkedIn, but still has ex-Google here. So don't do that. Be proud of where you work now. Look forward, not look backwards. This person actually works for Google, but still had to put ex-McKinsey, ex-Goldman Sachs in. Don't do that either. Talk about what you can offer people, not where you used to work. Now, LinkedIn is a search engine platform. You can optimize it. Now, it won't surprise you to know that we have the most search profile in the world because that's what we do for a living. But you too can get found by using search criteria on LinkedIn. By adding things like keywords, for example, and experiences. So if I look at my experiences, for example, I add in about 160 different jobs from around the world, but it includes things like global, all over the world, Zurich, Singapore. Because what we found was if you don't put those in, and you want to get found in Zurich, you don't get found in Zurich. So you have to actually put Zurich in, and Shanghai in, London in, Hong Kong in. Wherever you want to be found, wherever you want to get a job or get work, you've got to put it into your LinkedIn. So just copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste. So you use the LinkedIn algorithm, the search, against itself. And even the keywords. So you get found for personal branding. I have 65,000. I get top because I'm using it several times. If you don't use the keywords a bit like Google, you won't be found. So think about your keywords. What do you want to be found for? What job do you want? What career do you want? And then you'll get found, and then people will actually find you as a result of it. So for example, if you put LinkedIn into LinkedIn, you get 1.7 million results. LinkedIn comes first, I come second, because we're optimizing my profile. Same with my company. So even on my company, for example, we only get beaten by another company called B2B LinkedIn at 79,000 results, because we're optimizing the profile by using the keywords. It's not paid for at all. It's just basically keywords, keywords, keywords. Now you do want to have a content marketing plan. Now very few of you actually have a content plan, but you should. And it's simple to do, it really is, because you come across content all the time in Singapore. So we believe in this. It's called 411. It goes across all social media. And that is one hard sell post, which is about you or your company. And that could be something like this. If I wrote about what black marketing could do, that's a hard sell post. But if I have a soft sell post, it could be like this. You know, what is Elizabeth Holmes' ex-employees at Theranos say on their LinkedIn profile? How do they possibly explain they work for Elizabeth Holmes? That's an interesting article. So I shared that. It doesn't actually sell our services directly, but it tells you about LinkedIn. So I combine that with 4 unrelated posts. And these give me permission to do the hard sell post. So I talk about how, for example, Singapore and Switzerland are the 2 most livable cities in the whole of the world. Now, Singapore's my home, Switzerland's my biggest market. So it's a good post for me to post. Or this one here with Nike, about polarizing brand. So I have a polarizing brand, so I like sharing other people's polarizing brands. Or this one here about Football Manager. All the non-white players are valued at less than the white players. That's an interesting thing to put onto LinkedIn, start a debate. Or this one here, surprising benefits of talking to strangers. I'm a big believer in talking to strangers. I'll talk to people anywhere, lifts, trains, planes. Some people run away because they've got a mohawk, some people talk to me. I get away with a lot with a mohawk. So you can do the same thing, talk to people. Put it on LinkedIn. Now you want to blog and you want to share your customer experience. You have customer experiences everywhere you go in Singapore. So for example, Eva here compared 5 different trips on Grab and saw the different price difference ranges. And she said she's being ripped off. So she put the examples there. 300,000 views, 2,200 likes, 300 comments. Interestingly, the CEO and founder of Grab, Anthony Tan, saw it, wasn't very impressed, but demanded that she come and have a conversation with him. She now works for Grab. So even though the post itself was actually derogatory about Grab, she actually does some work for him because he recognized the fact not all was perfect with Grab. But obviously he had lots of people around him telling him everything was perfect. So it's good to do this kind of content. I had this experience in a Japanese restaurant here. They served me Perrier Jouet champagne in a Moet Chandon glass. And I said to them, why aren't you serving, Perrier Jouet in Perrier Jouet glasses? Those lovely pink glasses with the roses and stuff. I said, oh, we've got them out back, but we haven't smashed all the Moet Chandon ones yet. It's like, huh? All those billions of branding there, and people are toasting Perrier Jouet in Moet Chandon on Instagram. So I did this post and got a call from the brand director at Perrier Jouet, and she said, name me the restaurant, and I'll send you a crate of champagne. Before she could say crate of champagne, I'd named the restaurant. Sure enough, she sent us a crate of champagne, we celebrated. Or something like this, for example, I went to Shangri-La a few weeks ago, and I had a staycation there, and it was about 3 years since my last staycation there. But this lady here remembered me. Even though it was in a different wing, in a different part, she remembered me. And she remembered not only just because of the mohawk, but actually because of what I was doing at the time and how I basically was a customer, which I thought was amazing, absolutely incredible. So I gave her praise on LinkedIn. Because it shouldn't all be negative stuff and things that go wrong. It should be popular stuff and things that go right as well. People like to see good news as well as bad news on LinkedIn. But you do want to be yourself. So I was in Hong Kong, for example, at the Ritz-Carlton, and they gave me a phenomenal service. So I shared about it, and I shared about how customer was fantastic, did not mention my company at all, but got this guy here in the white to see it. And he's the CEO of the Ritz-Carlton, and the CEO of the group owns the Ritz-Carlton. And he said, that's amazing, got 55,000 views of that picture, just of you saying how great the Ritz-Carlton was. So then he said, I want to become a client. I want the Ritz-Carlton to become a client. So we now work for the Ritz-Carlton and for Ricoh, purely because of a photograph which did not mention our service, which is the essence of content marketing. It shouldn't all be hard sell, hard sell, hard sell. Think about that when you are sharing content on LinkedIn. And you want to be spontaneous as well. And I find that Saturdays and Sundays are brilliant days to share because multinationals are not working, but you guys might still be looking at their LinkedIn for social media, for content. So everyone's still looking, 2.4 million people in Singapore, still looking for content in Singapore on LinkedIn. So I did this post because I went to Tokyo, and this happened to me. They opened my luggage up, started going through all my books. Because obviously I looked a bit dodgy going to Hong Kong, as I going to Tokyo with a mohawk and tattoos. They don't really like tattoos in Japan. So he went through all the books, and I took a picture. He wasn't very amused about me taking the picture, said, don't take a picture. But by the time he'd said that, I'd already shared it on LinkedIn. So it was too late. But it's just like, I shared this, even on a Sunday, and then hundreds of other people then shared their experience of how they got stopped. One guy got stopped 49 times coming to Singapore. Other people got stopped having books. So people can actually then say, oh yeah, I got stopped on this trip, I got stopped. So it's just something that people can empathize with. So things like that you can share on LinkedIn. Just be confident. You can talk about your passion affecting professionals, for example. So I wrote about 2 weeks ago about Chester Bennington, the anniversary of his death. And the amazing thing was, even on Saturday, got 25,000 views, but the most interesting thing was the 64 comments. Because most of them were for people who shared experience about how colleagues had also committed suicide. And how mental wellness and stress at work was a big thing. So you got lots of people sharing when they wouldn't normally otherwise share. And it's work related, but it's also a personal touch as well. So don't think it has to be all happy stuff on LinkedIn. It can be serious stuff like this, and you will get very good engagement, very good debates on LinkedIn. And it's not the size of your following that matters, it's the story. So you guys can do this too, because you guys have, many of you have the sizes of profiles this size. Natasha here, a few weeks ago, only had 242 connections. And she lives in New Zealand, which is a smaller country than Singapore. But she did this post about being a single mum, about graduating, about the struggle she had. People empathize and engage with her so much. This post got 300,000 likes, 19,000 comments, and 10 million views. Phenomenal, just one simple post. So she now has over 20,000 followers because of one post. There's nothing magic about that post, but it was personal and interesting and authentic. You can do that too. Nothing stopping you, absolutely nothing. But you do want to be a leader. So another set of numbers for you, 1990. 1% of people in the whole of social media, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, WeChat, share. 1%. So out of you guys here, maybe 4 of you share. 9% like, share, and comment. So they share other people's posts, they don't write their own. Only 1% of people write their own. And 90% of you do nothing at all. This is across all social media. So where do you want to be? The 90, the 9, or the 1, like Stephanie? Be the 1 like Stephanie. Stephanie's amazing, Singapore icon. She runs a law firm here, and as you can see, she shares my taste in colour of hair. But she stands out on LinkedIn because she knows she has to fight harder. She's a woman running a law firm in a male-dominated society with lots of male clients where she has to actually show her credibility more than any man would have to. And she brilliantly does it on LinkedIn by sharing every single time she's in the Business Times, or the Straits Times, or the FT, or the Wall Street Journal. So she's putting her credibility up there saying, take me seriously. So you can do the same thing. Tag people. If you want to tag me today, for example, you just put in @Chris Reed. And it comes up, then I get a notification. Hashtag topics, whether it's social media marketing, social selling, they go trending on LinkedIn just like anywhere else. Now, love them or hate them, these people are organic influencers. You might have come across some of these posts by Oleg, or by Bridget. They're quite annoying. I personally prefer this guy, Mike Winnett. Check him out. You might not get his humour, it's quite English kind of humour, but he's very, very funny. And as you can see here, he's the UK's #1 demotivational speaker. So if he comes along here, he demotivates you. He tells you how shit everything is. And you go, huh? But it's part of his humour. He's being ironic. He's being a parody of himself. And you can even endorse him for being endorsed by strangers for skills he doesn't have, which is brilliant, because people do that anyway. He's just taken the mickey out of it. And you can actually endorse him for bad jokes and demotivational speaking. Brilliant. And then you should read some of his recommendations. His recommendations are fantastic. He basically talks about how people are happy until they hear about Mike. Then Mike demotivates them. And they put that as a recommendation on LinkedIn because it's a parody. So it's very, very funny. So have a think about that. Now, you want to look at video, because video is really, really, really important on LinkedIn. You should be sharing videos left, right, and center on LinkedIn. You can do it on your phone, up to 10 minutes natively on the feed. So if you took 2 minutes of this talk here, put it on LinkedIn, that would work. Or you can put it on things like from YouTube and share the link. Now we did a test. The same video on LinkedIn, same video on YouTube. Like, as you can see, I'm a massive YouTube influencer. Got 35 views for this fantastic video. But the same video on LinkedIn, same moment, 20,000 views. And I can tell who the commenters are, who likes are, and who viewed my profile. Because LinkedIn has the data that YouTube does not. So LinkedIn's more powerful. And you would tell stories on LinkedIn and get up to 300,000 views. Share some good news about your week. Get lots of views. Share demonstrations of products and features. Post questions to people. All these things get hundreds of thousands of views. Share achievements, 81,000 views. Share bad news, 24,000 views. News first, before anybody else, 126,000 views. Show people interesting business things, for example. This one's got 1.4 million views. Thought leaders, 1 million views. Even Gary Vee, love him or hate him, 400,000 views. Reports. Apparently, all the marketing people in Singapore should stop doing Facebook and Google and focus on Pornhub. The fact is, you can't get Pornhub in Singapore. You have to use the VPN, so Matthew tells me. So Matthew switches the VPN on, he's fine. He says people spend 10 minutes there. Apparently it's fantastic for marketing. Employee benefits, 400,000 views. Interviews. Finding your why, 3.5 million views. This is on LinkedIn, not YouTube, LinkedIn. You can get real engagement on LinkedIn with the right kind of video. Be authentic on LinkedIn. Everyone knows Simone Heng. She does these videos where she's dancing in the studio and she gets hundreds of thousands of views. Sally does the same thing. Again, hundreds of thousands of views, millions of likes, millions of views. But they're both pretty. I know you're going to say, oh, they're pretty, Chris. Lots of pretty girls can get views on LinkedIn. Not really. You have to be authentic. You have to have some kind of substance. You can also do videos that are 10 minutes long, 10,000 views, while looking like this. And even on a Sunday, we got lots of engagement with this, because we did a review about this book, which is fantastic, called The Reputation Game. Tagged the two authors, who I did not know. Even on a Sunday, they wrote back. And they said, what a fantastic summary of the video, of the book is. So if you tag people of books you're reading, they will reply. If your content is good and you're authentic. So let's look at some of your profiles. We couldn't find many of them. You were hiding them all. Anmol, she around? Yes, hey, how are you? So what's missing?
There's somebody.
No, the background picture. You got a background picture yet?
No.
Not yet.
I'll be putting it.
Put the background picture up. Yes, the summary's missing as well. And then some content here, put some visuals up here. At least you have a description here, which is great. But no content marketing, no sharing. She here? She here? Or should we keep going? Oh, yes, hi. So obviously, as you can see, no background picture. And summary section. And then your date of birth is there, though. Fantastic. Don't think you need that, but you need to put like your story. What's your story? Why are you in Singapore? Why are you studying here? What do you want to do? What's your passion? What's your purpose? What's your vision? That kind of stuff there. And even a video here, for example. I wouldn't put your date of birth there. And then experience. You know, this is obviously the club. But no content marketing there. So you're not sharing from the club. So you're sharing from the club. Is he or she here? He. Hello, my name is, you can call me Harry. Is Harry here? Is this the project, is it? Is the project?
No. He's a student.
Okay. So anyway, that's quite interesting. It's quite an interesting opening line. Call me Harry, and I'm studying at BT, James Cook University. Brilliant. Pravash, where's Pravash? He's got the muscles. Look at the muscles on that, Jesus. You look a man in demand. How come you're not showing your muscles off today then? Oh yeah, come on then. You should watch Chris. You've seen Chris Richardson's profile. Chris Richards put that on there. But that's really cool. But what's missing? You haven't got a background picture. And about her section as well. And then this is quite sparse. Doesn't even mention James Cook. Are you really working here? And no content either. Got to do some content. Pond money. Got a really, really cool picture. Very, very interesting picture. And I like the way she's got this. You know, big data fan, aspiring big. Aspiring big? Does that make sense to you? Doesn't make sense to me. Aspiring big? She's aspiring to be big or not? Human resource, spelt wrong, is power. So you might want to tell her aspiring big is probably not a great thing to put on LinkedIn. Okay, she's got the James Cook University there, which is great. No content marketing though. Therapy, she around? Yes, why have you got a selfie on there? Really, selfie is not a great idea, really, is it? It's actually kind of Instagram, Facebook picture, not your LinkedIn picture. And then you have your links, but no links, videos, pictures, that kind of thing. And no content marketing. So you're taking a picture of yourself, but you're not sharing it on LinkedIn. At least sharing. It'd be really cool if you shared that picture that you took on LinkedIn and said, this is the picture I took for my profile. Obviously, you're here. Still says you're in Vietnam, you see. Yes, you're still in Vietnam. Okay, it's amazing. She's a hologram. Here as well. So background picture, summary, links here. No content marketing either. You can't be part of a marketing club and have no content marketing. It's like, it's ironic. You're part of the ironic content marketing club. Yash here. This is the best by far, as you can say. Big round of applause for Yash, please. They're doing a great content. I love this. It's brilliant. Although you should use one of my quotes, not one of Gary's quotes. No, I like it. It's great. At least you basically don't. You look quite a serious guy there as well. You know, you're having a serious debate with somebody, communicating. That's really cool. And the About Us section, at least you have one, which is fantastic. One of a few here. You put some links in, maybe some videos. And again, it's good here. You put your content here. Pratik around. I see Pratik has done the Singapore Tourism Board thing. He shared the integrated resort and the flyer and everything else. But nice picture. And again, there's nice keywords there. And he's got a nice About Us section. He's got 3,500 followers. I think he has more followers than everybody else in this room put together. And he has quite a big set of content there. So as you can see, the rest of you escaped. Employer branding is really, really important on LinkedIn. You want to use the background picture. You see here, Coty did it. I think it's fantastic how she's got the wings there. Or this, you've got the vision statement. And I love the vision statement here. It's fantastic. Green Man Gaming. Read that. It's like, we drink beer and hug dogs. That's a great branding statement. We also have black marketing there. We had a recent event. We had all my team put social selling behind. So the background was fantastic. Even our speakers did the same thing. Now they choose a different black marketing one, for example. Whether like black or white. These guys went red. So every single member of the team's got a red background picture. And these guys went red and white. So every single person there, red and white, stands out. It's really, really good, strong branding. Matthew here had the orange circle. So all the team members have got the orange circle, apart from Nicole, who doesn't want to work there anymore. Not a great idea, really. Now you want to market your company through your people. So if you're a leader of your own company in the future, which many of you will be, you should lead by example. So lead on LinkedIn. Give you an example why. LinkedIn only has 5 million people following it. On LinkedIn, 600 million people following LinkedIn. So if LinkedIn can't persuade you to follow LinkedIn on LinkedIn, then your company and my company got no chance. Because Jeff Weiner, who's the CEO of LinkedIn, has got 10 million followers. People are more likely to follow him than the company. Same with this. Microsoft's got 6 million. But Bill Gates has got 18 million. Because people follow people. They don't follow companies. They follow you. You are the leaders of your own brand, not your company. Whether you work for a company or lead a company, it's about you, not about the company. So Arnie Sorensen's a great example. The CEO of Marriott Starwood, when he posts, he gets great engagement because people like him. He's a cool guy. But Marriott actually have twice as many followers. But their engagement levels are 10 times less. So even though they have more followers, people still don't want to engage with the hotel. They want to engage with Arnie. Because Arnie's a real person, a real CEO, and he's a cool guy. Because people follow people. Richard Branson's the best example. 18 million followers to Richard Branson. The top Virgin company on LinkedIn only has 150,000. So even Richard Branson can't get you to follow his Virgin companies. But people follow him, people engage with him. So when he shares a blog, he gets hundreds of thousands of likes and comments and shares and views. Because people are buying people are not buying his companies. But he markets his companies through him. Because ultimately LinkedIn is all about who you know, not what you know. A bit like in Goodfellas, great film. But it's all about how the connections make connections, make business. Doing favors for people, not expecting anything in return. Or Kevin Bacon. Used to be the 6 degrees of separation. Now it's 3 degrees on LinkedIn. You are 3 degrees away from anyone. So I've got 12,000 connections in Singapore. That's only important because it leads me to having 300,000 second connections, which leads me to having 1.5 million third, and means I can reach 1.9 million people in Singapore by having the right kind of first connections. So you want to have quality and quantity of connections on LinkedIn. So connect with everyone in this room to start off with. It's quality and quantity here. So I can reach 148 million people across the whole of Asia Pacific just by having the right kind of connections in places like Hong Kong and Singapore and Shanghai and Sydney. But in Zurich, for example, our biggest market, I can reach nearly 700,000 followers, people, by only having 469 connections. It's about the power of the first, the second, the third connections on LinkedIn. That's how it works. But it does mean I can reach about 125 million people in Europe. So again, I can reach a lot of Europe and Asia just by having the right kind of first connections. This is what you need to do, is build your base up now, and it takes time on LinkedIn. That's why I want you to start now, so you pays off in the future. It could be a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, but it'll pay off. Because ultimately, people buy people. Great example is Elon Musk. Elon Musk can ask for money and do things that the rest of us couldn't do. Because he's Elon Musk. His personal brand overrides everything else. And this is the only part of the presentation where you need a premium. If you're doing sales, doing lead generation, or you want to find a job progressively, actively, you need Sales Navigator, which allows you to do lots of searches on LinkedIn for all the data other people put in. Then create target lists that generate leads. So if you want to find a job in a specific city, you can do that on LinkedIn through Sales Navigator. And you can even find, of those target lists, people who are actually active on LinkedIn. Very important, because if they've posted on LinkedIn, they're active. They're more likely to respond to your message than the other 99% who have not posted. If they also happen to be premium, the orange badge, they're actually paid for the service. Therefore, they're more likely to respond to see your message. So target people, whether you use Sales Navigator or not, target people who are orange, who are premium, because they paid for the service, they're more likely to respond. You also want to target open profiles. There's people like me who've ticked a box to say, please contact me for free. So I'll give you 2 great examples. Eduardo Saverin here, who some of you may know is the co-founder of Facebook. He's also the 2nd richest man in Singapore. It's about $11 billion. But you can contact him for free. So don't do it all at once. Don't say, oh, Chris says I can contact you about this great idea I've got for an app. But you can. He's an open profile. So even though he's my 2nd connection, I can contact him for free. You can too. So if you're connected to me, he's now your 2nd or your 3rd connection. You can contact him for free. Whereas Darius here is not open profile, but he wants you to contact him, drop him a line, but you have to actually spend money to do so. You have to pay to contact Darius. Whereas Eduardo says, contact me for free. So who are you going to contact? The multi-billion-dollar guy Eduardo for free, or the not billion-dollar guy Darius, where you have to pay for it? I think we know the answer to that. So in summary, your reputation, just like Gladiator, is on LinkedIn, it's on Google. And the culmination of my taxi driver story ended up with this. I wrote a taxi blog about 8 years ago, got fired. Lost my job. And I got on the front page of all the newspapers for the wrong reasons, and the radio stations and TV. Big debate about taxi drivers in Singapore. Many people said to me, I agree with what you said, but you shouldn't have read it. You shouldn't have written it. And certainly shouldn't have written that way. So I learned a lesson about what not to do in Singapore pretty quickly. And I realized I had what in England we call a Marmite brand. You love me or you hate me. So Marmite is very much like that, but I knew that I had name recognition because everyone knew who I was on the front page of the newspapers. So I knew then I could build a company called Black Marketing and then get on the front page 5 years later of a good newspaper, the Business Times. So I think they'd just like to feature my mohawk because it's the first time ever they've had a mohawk on the Business Times. But that's why we've got 1,300 LinkedIn recommendations, because people now love what we do across the world, and we built a fantastic company called Black Marketing, and we employ some amazing people. And we've even started embracing diversity. We now employ men too. Where we didn't before. For 2 years we employed no men at all. So no, not a single man. So we went from villain, or I went from villain, to then now becoming a Singaporean citizen. And I collected my lovely red passport this morning, just in time for National Day. So if you want more tips, you can obviously read my books. And you can actually listen to them for free on Spotify. They're on YouTube for free, Amazon Kindle. And if you like the talk, please do connect with me and recommend me. I very much do appreciate it. Thank you very much for listening.